I just watched a 29-part series on TikTok called The Danish Deception. And as a woman who has dated internationally and now living in a country observing relationships and European men with American and other foreign women, guys, we talk a lot about passport bros, but we do not talk enough about the European come up crew. Guys, my name is G. If you have not already, go ahead, subscribe to my channel, and let's get into all of my notes about this Danish deception and the truth about European men. Okay, not all European men, all right? Not all. I'm married to one. Not all, but a good majority. And even him, I'm pretty sure he's disappointed that he got me and not a different type of an American woman, because trust me, we be bumping heads. Anyway, if you haven't watched this series on TikTok, I'm gonna give you a summary and I'm gonna give you my commentary as it relates to what I have learned and seen, observed, and maybe even experienced a little bit of dating European men. Okay, so this woman, Onyeka Ahi or Ahai, it's a Nigerian name. I am pretty sure that I'm not pronouncing correctly. And from some of the commentary that I've seen, how she pronounces her name is a westernized version of her name. Anyway, this woman is gorgeous. She's beautiful. And she is Nigerian American, right? It seems like she was born and raised in the United States, but she's of Nigerian heritage. Now, I have lots of commentary on this, so try not to make this video very long, but first I want to give you the 29-part summary, and then I'm going to give you my learnings. Onyeka Ihai was on vacation in Croatia when she noticed a tall, gorgeous man at the restaurant that she was in. So she's checking him out, he's checking her out. Long story short, they connect, they exchange information, and she's immediately very excited about this man because of how handsome he is. And not to mention handsome, he's rich. So they start communicating after they connect. He's inviting her on vacations. She gets flued out to Monaco, France, south of France. They're staying in a 2,000 a night hotel room, all right? And they are standing there, I don't know, maybe it's a week. He's taking her on a shopping spree. He's taking her to, Dior and Chanel. And he's like, get what you want, do what you like. It's all on me. And she does the very common Black woman thing. I don't want him to think I'm here for his money. So she pulls back. And I'm going to say my commentary is coming. It's coming. So she pulls back. She doesn't want him to think that she's only there for his money. She really likes him. She's really into him. And mind you, while she's on this trip, she ends up having a medical emergency. Okay. And she later decides, like, this was probably a sign from the universe to step back. However, she didn't see it that way. She told this man on this trip that this is the first time that she is seeing them after they met, that she is falling in love with him. She's fallen in love with him, whatever. And so she has this medical emergency. And I will say this, I'm not unsure that he couldn't have caused this medical emergency. They're out at dinner. She goes to the bathroom feeling unwell and passes out and has a seizure. Okay. And they find her passed out on the bathroom floor, and she was having seizures, small seizures while she's there. And she's never had seizures before. And now she's in this vulnerable position with just him there to take care of her. She feels embarrassed. She's peed herself. All of these things happen to her. She realizes, like, she's on her way to the emergency room. And that's when he tells her, I'm falling in love with you too. Okay, so they're full speed ahead. Now they're in love, okay? And they're gonna make plans. He's coming to visit her. They're doing these things, right? Now, I will say, she never saw the inside of this man's house. They're talking all the time for hours at a time a day while he's there in Denmark and she lives in Dallas, Texas, and falling more and more in love. All the communication is so easy and everything. He's telling her all about his business and he's, doing rich man shit. Oh, and he's royalty. He's royalty. I will pepper this in. People in Europe will say that they have royal lineage, just like Black Americans say they have Native American in their family. It's debatable. Anyway, so she's all enamored, all of this stuff. He's coming to Dallas. He's paying for everything. He's showing her his fancy Rolex watches and all of these different, attributes. And, she, again, is just trying to be as humble as she can. He tells her cousin that was a part of an Olympic team for handball or something, and he has a bronze and a gold, but he donated them. Nobody ever Googled this man. Nobody ever tried to make sure that anything he said was legit. Okay. Now, I find that a lot of times, because people have certain passports, be it Italy or Spain or France, if you have a good passport, no one ever assumes that you're trying to get a come up. They never assume that, because you come from a country where that sort of thing isn't common. Like, people don't scam you. They don't need, Americans. They don't need a green card because they have everything. People in the United States are like, oh, they have free healthcare. They have this, they have that. A lot of people here are poor. Okay. A lot of European people, generally speaking, are poor, and they see Americans as having far more money and access to money than they do. They don't have credit cards and things like that. So even if you're not particularly a rich American, the fact that you are traveling abroad, the fact that you are doing these kind of like lifestyle things, because a lot of Europeans, like, they travel within Europe because you can get there by train, but they don't go abroad. Going abroad is a big deal for a lot of Europeans. So maybe less now, but still, a lot of people do a lot of traveling within the connected continent, but they don't necessarily fly very, very far away from home and make huge, expensive international trips regularly like Americans try to do. So you look rich already because you got disposable income. He starts having financial problems almost immediately after they're in love, okay? He doesn't waste any time to say, his money's getting tied up, there's bad business deals. He had so many worst days of his life ever. She should have been like, this is going to be exhausting to be connected to you with all of these bad days you keep having. So right away, he started having financial problem. He needs like 30,000 euros, and she ends up giving him like 5 or 6. She starts contributing. They're building a life. It's an investment. And, he's just got to get these deals through. He's going to make the money and he's going to pay her back and all this. And so she continues on with this situation. She went from staying in 2,000 a night hotel rooms to having her honeymoon just months later now in Oklahoma to save money. That is a huge drop. And all to prove that she wasn't really in it for the money. Their love will make it through and everything's going to be fine because they're so in love. She wanted to make sure he understood, it's not just the money. I really love you. Now, again, so as this relationship is developing, he's getting more money from her. She's doing he pays her back sometimes, or he gives her some of the money and then, asks for more money. And she's draining her bank account, because even on times that he isn't asking for money, they're taking trips, they're doing stuff. He has her meeting him in Paris and she pays for that trip. He suggests using her credit cards sometimes. It's just like more and more burdens becoming financially responsible by her. And he's going on. They're still going on. Like, they're doing all this stuff. that doesn't make sense, right? Like, she's participating in stuff that just doesn't make sense. Why are we spending this money if you can't afford it? Why are we doing that? Like, they're doing stuff that when you look at it, you're like, why are you doing this? Anyway, they go on. So after they get married, they start trying to do the paperwork, the process for him to be able to move to the United States legally. So there's some going back and forth in respect to him going back to Denmark. And so he had all kinds of like issues, besides financial ones. He told her his dad was sick. He told him he was in the hospital for a herniated disc and he was going to need surgery. And then somehow that surgery just went away because his dad got sick. Every time she tried to go to Denmark to be supportive for his problems, he's like, don't do that. Don't do that. You stay there. You know, this is when he would get angry and he's like, you know, you can't come because my parents don't speak English. Later, it seemed like she was communicated with his entire family in English, but she seemed to have forgotten that he said that his family doesn't speak English. So, okay. She later also finds out on one of her trips from one of his friends, he has a gambling addiction. And then things started to come together. A few of the brain synapses started to spark that perhaps he was gambling money again. And that's why he was having these back and forth financial issues. She does confront him. And of course he lies. That's in the past and blah, blah, blah. Things start to progress more and more financially. When she meets his parents, they don't live in a palace, by the way. And she's like believing for whatever reason, his stories that do not align. His parents did speak English. She never brought up why, that she confronted him about that or that lie. She kept saying he never lied to her. And when everything he was doing was a lie. He lied by omission in a lot of different ways, but she did not count that as a lie. And I think that, again, because he was white, she did not want to see the wrong in him. And I think that happens a lot of times with women who come to Europe and looking for or hoping for love experiences with these men. They don't believe that they're lying to them. If they're white, they automatically believe in the power and the goodness of whiteness. And so do a lot of Black people. The fact that she was African, I think, plays a part into this that I've observed with some African people when they have white partners. Either way, back to her story. She goes on and eventually finds out he's still lying. He's still gambling. He's stealing money from her friends. So the cracks start to show when, after this whole gambling situation, she finds out he has gambling addiction. One of her friends contacts her and says that he had given this man $160,000 to invest in crypto, and now they don't know where this money is. It should be, if the crypto went up, it should give like a $40,000 profit. They should get their $200,000, and he hasn't given it to him. He kept saying he was transferring it. Something was going on with the transfer, whatever. So she confronts him. Long story short, it's all a lie. She doesn't leave him then. She doesn't leave him yet. They decide to work it out with these people, and they're going to pay them back the $100 and $200 whatever $1,000. She does not tell people about his gambling addictions. She just tries to hide all of this thing that is going on and work on it with herself, with him. Very isolating situation. He is emotionally manipulating her through this entire story, through his parents and illnesses and made up stories. He is now the gambling addiction. He is playing this woman like a fiddle. And after all of this, he is the one who left her. Okay. She was still trying to work it out with him. She held his passport captive so he couldn't leave. He said he was going back to Denmark. She ended up finding out that not only that one friend he had took money from, there were several friends who had given him tens of thousands of dollars. He even borrowed money from her younger sister under the guise that it was going to be a surprise for her. And it was not until the fact that he had played with her sister and her money that she said, okay, I need to like separate from this man. That's when she decided that she was not going to pursue him anymore, is when her sister told her about the money. And this is when she's told now, telling all of her friends, all of her family, what was really going on, the gambling addiction. She contacts his family and tells him like all of the things about the royalty. All of it is lies. Like everything about it is a lie. You know, he never won the Olympics. He was never in the, all the things were a lie, obviously, right? And so she's shocked by all of this. She was shocked that there was no company that he was building, even after she found out that he was lying about all this. She was like, oh, there's no company either. Yes, no, there was never, all of it. European men think that American women are easy and stupid. And if you are a Black woman, the fact that so many Black women now are like, girl, come over to here. They like you in Italy. They like you in Spain. They like you in Turkey. These men are aware that American women are seeking romance and attention. I will say that the men with means, like with money, who have real interest in women in Europe, they do not flaunt their wealth. We all get like these ideas of seeing these particular things on social media. Oh, like these rich men in Monaco with these, you know, lavish lifestyles and fancy cars. And most of those women that they're with are women, are working girls. Like, that's a whole different thing. It is not reality. It is so not reality. And men with means in Europe are rarely generous. They're very, very rarely generous. And I know some women who are dating, married to men who have money, and they are still not that generous. Like, they will pay for dinners. They will do all of those things, but they're not generous. They're not go on a shopping spree generous. They're not, like, that is not culturally, generally in Europe, that is so very rare. And every country is different. Europe is a continent, but that is not really associated with how Europeans behave. Like I said, the whole royal lineage thing, I'm gonna tell you a quick story. My French ex, I do believe, was trying to come up on me. And I, unfortunately for him, am not someone who cares about men and their financial problems. Like, that sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. And I will say, when we moved to France, he was constantly complaining about money. He was having a hard time finding a job, and he was saying he couldn't pay this, he couldn't pay that. And he was always angry with me because I made friends and I was going out doing stuff. And I was just like, these sounds like your problems. Figure it out. Like, I don't give men money. How I ended up really feeling like, you know what, he was trying to have a come up was when I was talking to his cousin, and they said, well, you're rich because you own your own house, you able to travel, you're all of this, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I'm not rich, but they thought that I was. So that was the first time I was just like, oh, this is a thing. And I've seen it over and over again now that I've been here longer. I have seen particularly American women of all ethnicities getting played or being the financial breadwinner for a lot of European men. And these men, you know, generally, even if they do work, they don't make high salaries. So women coming from the US working remotely, creating businesses, because most American women still want to have a certain lifestyle and still see money as very important, then they do a lot more here to keep these men. And these men play their parts, you know, masculine thing that some of these women are seeking. And this is not usually a situation where the men are submissive to these women. They still are this machismo thing, but the women are carrying financial burdens, emotional burdens, and all kinds of extra burdens just for the attention and to feel like they have this romantic European experience. And I'm saying that Black women can be low-hanging fruit, because a lot of the Black women who come online in social media and they're like, come here, the men like Black women here. Men like women everywhere, and Black women have been so ostracized from attention in the United States. The normal basic stuff that these men do here seems like a lot. That's because a lot of Black women don't feel seen in the US. And they get here and these men are paying them so much attention. Just so you know, if you come to Italy and men are screaming ciao bella at you, it's a cat call, right? It's the equivalent of a cat call in the United States. It's not cute. The one thing, as she was talking about this story, I knew she didn't have any Black friends, right? And I think this is significant and plays into some aspects of the Black American and the Afro-Caribbean, African issues in the United States. All of her friends, she's Nigerian, and it seems as though all of her friends are European Americans. And the type of friendship you have with European Americans is not the same that if you had a Black person in your life. A Black woman, if she had one Black friend and this man asked her for $5, she would have been Googling him. She would have been finding out what the hell, because you're supposed to be rich and you're supposed to be royalty. You should not be asking a woman for nothing. Let me find out who you really are. She would have had the tea 5 minutes. This whole thing went on for like 3 years. Within the first few months of this man doing all of this, going from $2,000 a night hotel rooms to Oklahoma, like venues, girl, no. She would have been Googling him right away. She would have been suspicious and side-eyeing him right away. The fact that he was European and all of her friends are European Americans, they all have this idea that they don't do the wrong things. If this man was from a different country, if he was from, South America, and, like, people would have been more suspicious of him. People would have been like, let me see if what he says is true. He would not have gotten the benefit of belief. He would not have gotten the benefit of belief. And he would not have gotten the benefit of belief amongst European Americans, and probably not her either. When I see some African women here with European partners or husbands, they talk about how their families respond to their European husbands because they are white. They like them a lot more. They feel like they won a prize because they now have whiteness in the family. The fact that he went to her village was probably celebrated, not just because her husband or her partner or her boyfriend was coming to the village to meet her family. They feel like it's an honor to have a European come there. A lot of my friends talk about how even their biracial children and their white partners get, the honor, like more honor. They like get the honored space in the houses in the village. Like, so this all plays a part into why he was able to get away with what he did. And I see that also on smaller scales. There is really no difference. These European men see a lot of American women, regardless of ethnicity, as a come up, because even if she doesn't have a lot of money, he knows she will work hard. He knows that she will try and maintain a certain lifestyle for them, one that he probably can't afford on his own, because again, most European salaries are so, outside of like Denmark and Sweden, like Italy, Spain, like like different in London. You can't really talk like compare, but like a lot of these smaller countries do have a base salary. Like Italy doesn't have a minimum wage. So you could get paid 800 to 1,000 euros for a 40-hour work week. You know, Spain and France, like they have a more like a minimum wage, but the cost of living compared to what the wage is usually very, very narrow. And a lot of people, oh, you can get your health care, you get this. Trust me. Trust me, you don't know. You don't know. But the men are aware. They're aware of the attention that a lot of American women are seeking. And when they are here, they already think she's got more than me because she can afford to get here from the United States and pay for all of these things. So these €7 pizzas that they take you for and these €5 spritz, like honestly, Italian men can take a woman on a date and spend €20 and like walk you along like the little wet pavements and all of that, and you think you're in a freaking movie, and they've probably spent 10 or 15 euros on getting you tipsy and getting you a couple slices of pizza. It's so cheap for them. So it is so easy because of the atmosphere and the mood that the women are already in that carry over into why they start to connect and feel attached to these men. So I will say, don't fall for it, girl. And we talk, like me and my friends, we call them like tourist hunters, but ultimately it's just the European come up crew, and it's unexpected in places where they have good passports. So don't be fooled. Guys, if you have not already, go ahead, subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to having this conversation in the comments. So ciao, ciao for now.